Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
With the Wicks here on this beautiful Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, and welcome to the show, whether that's on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, do me a favor, hit the like and the share. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe and the notification button so that you're notified every time we go live. It would be much, much appreciated. So hopefully you all had a fantastic 4th of July weekend. I know I did. I took a little hiatus or a little break there. Took Friday off and yesterday off. Mainly yesterday because it was, 4th of July and had to get some things situated, which I did. But we are back here ready, more ready than ever to bring you more news surrounding not only the NFL, but the NHL today. There's going to be stuff happening in the future. I'm not only doing my show. You guys can hop over to the Minnesota Vikings Syndicate. Hit the subscribe button there, the notification button, so you know when a video drops every time I do so. But there's going to be a slight change to the Get Your Fix program where I'm going to try to involve every single sport, especially now that the NFL is dead. So hopefully you all stayed safe this weekend. No hands were blown off, no faces and all that stuff were blown off. It's just, we don't need any of that. Hopefully you guys stayed safe, and mostly my thoughts and prayers do go out to the families that of people that lost their lives this weekend in Chicago. It's just a horrific event, and it just kind of further, makes my point of take every day like as if it's your last day, because you never know when the end is coming, but you do know it's coming eventually. Everything happens for a reason, except for that was just horrific. It shouldn't have happened. We need to get people like those off the streets. We have to figure out a way for stricter gun laws. I think that is definitely one thing we need to work on as a country. And we just got to come together, because this cannot continue to happen, and it's going to. Sad to say, but it is true. So hopefully we can get this under control. But my thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the people lost this weekend. So we got some stuff to talk about around the NFL. And like I mentioned, the NHL, who just made a historic hire at general manager. But before that, we're going to talk about Demaryius Thomas, former Denver Broncos wide receiver, who has finally been diagnosed in what she had, stage 2 CTE. And then last but not least, I guess there's some speculation around the Seattle Seahawks organization in the fact that they might be up for sale. But that has been put to rest. So with that being said, are you ready to get your fix? So today we actually learned of Demaryius Thomas, who was diagnosed with stage 2 CTE. Now, he did pass away just a couple weeks ago, or I believe like a month and a half ago or something like that. And we talked about his passing, and it's a sad one to say the least. Apparently, he had a seizure in his sleep and passed away that way. Since then, his family, I believe, had his brain, this man, Demaryius Thomas, had his brain sent over to VA and I think it's like Boston University Concussion Legacy Foundation, where basically they check on the brain, they study the brain, see what actually went on, because this man has played football for his entire life, or did play football his entire life basically, and so they wanted to get to the bottom of what was actually going on. Is it actually the seizure that caused his passing, or was it CTE? Now, he did struggle late in his career, late in his life, right? I guess not really late in his life because he did die at only like 33 years old. He struggled with erratic behavior, memory loss, and paranoia. That all comes along when somebody has CTE. I believe that's like chronic trauma, a lot of blah, blah, basically. It starts with an E. Don't know how to say that word. You can search it up if you want, but we all know what CTE is. It's awful. Okay, it's a disease where basically you just keep banging heads together. Eventually your brain kind of starts to basically disintegrate and shrink and get worse. And it's something that you don't want, but NFL players deal with it on a daily basis, right? So we have to figure out what is the best way. Like, you guys can answer this question. What do you think is the best way, or what do you think the NFL should do to best accommodate players that have come out and said they have CTE? I know it's a very tough question because what do you do in that situation? You really have no idea because their brain is so messed up and so it's just a terrible thing to have. Like, what can you do? Is there anything you can do? Is there compensation to get a medical help? Or is there like certain studies? Is there like medicine that can help CTE not happen or progress a lot less than it actually does at a rapid rate? We have no idea, but you guys can answer that in the comments, and we can have a discussion that way as well. And you can also comment on here, and we can answer your questions as well. But that left the question open: did he pass away from CTE? Well, I read an article on ESPN that was by ESPN News Sector, so it wasn't by any one person. I believe it was probably a team that worked on this. And this is what they had to say about Demaryius Thomas and CTE. They said basically that, let's get this picture ready here, hold on. All right, there we go. Okay, so it said CTE itself does not cause death. You don't die from CTE, McKee told ABC News. What CTE does is it changes your behavior and your personality. Family members say that in addition to the seizures, which began in 2020, Thomas also struggled with what have come to be known as common conditions associated with CTE, like the memory loss, the paranoia, and other erratic behavior, especially in the last year before he died. His mood would change, and he would also isolate himself sometimes. Thomas's mother, Katrina Stuckey Smith, told ABC News. He was like, "Mom, I don't know what's going on with my body. I got to get myself together." And he said, "I don't feel like myself anymore." Right then, off the bat, you have to know that something is very, very wrong, right? And it's doctors at Boston University said Thomas had stage 2 CTE, which is associated with progressive behavior, cognitive and move abnormalities. Thomas relatives say he developed depression and anxiety and had panic attacks in the years before his death. Now, stage 4 is the most severe state of CTE and usually associated with dementia. So Demaryius Thomas obviously was dealing with a lot of stuff, and CTE is not the greatest thing to have ever. Like, it really isn't. I've had a fair share of my concussions. I believe I've had 2 in my life. One for sure I do know because, listen, I was trying to tackle a guy that was way too big for me to tackle, and we hit basically head on. I was fine. I was still conscious, but I remember vividly seeing stars, right? I was like, oh my, what just happened? Coach asked me, he's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yep, we're all good. Don't worry about it." Went through practice normally, and then about an hour into school, basically like 9 a.m., I was really hungry, which is really odd to say because I don't know how that kind of translates to getting a concussion, but I was really hungry, and I was like, this is just not right? So I went after school and went to see my mom, who's an EMT or whatever, and she kind of looked at my eyes. She's like, "Yeah, you got to go to the hospital." So I went to the hospital, and I had a minor concussion. We were out the rest of the football season, basically, but I've had them. So maybe there's some type of, I probably don't have this to the extent of CTE that Demaryius Thomas has or anything like that, but there's a chance. And nobody wants CTE. And if you guys are hearing some noise, there's a fucking gruesome storm outside, and if you guys see me abruptly quit the stream or quit the show, you know why. But anyways, you don't want CTE. It's awful. And we need to figure out some way to accommodate these players that have come out with CTE, because the NFL, from what it seems like, is kind of keeping it behind closed doors. And we need to kind of get it out there. We need to show everybody that, hey, this is something serious. These people need to seek medical attention at some point. Like for Demaryius Thomas, once he started feeling not like himself, he should have sought medical attention. Whether that's a therapist or a doctor or whatever the case may be, he should have seen them and been like, something's not right. Can we get this on the right track? Can we fix this? Is there something I can take to make my brain a little bit better, to make my feelings a little bit better, and all of that? Like, it is, I don't know what the NFL can do. You guys can let me know in the comments. But it's a sad situation there for Demaryius Thomas. Rest in peace. God may rest his soul. I mean, a phenomenal football player. You guys can also let me know what is one play that you remember Demaryius Thomas making vividly that, when you think of Demaryius Thomas, that's the play that pops up. Let me know. We could talk about that as well. So, with that being said, let's move over, not to the NFL, but to this lovely game right here we like to call hockey, okay? The NHL, in which they made a historic move, a historic hire at a GM position. The San Jose Sharks, a team that is in California, have made a historic hire at general manager where they have hired Mike Grier. This guy that's closest to me, that is Mike Grier. Now you see the guy on the far right, I believe, of the screen it would be. It's actually his brother, his older brother. Yeah, Chris Grier, GM of the Miami Dolphins. They look identical. I searched up Mike Grier to get a picture of him, and listen, Chris Grier, it's a fucking tongue twister, was the one that popped up. I'm like, oh, this ain't the guy. And then I seen Mike Grier, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, they're basically identical, so you get it. But Mike Grier is actually the first black or African-American black person in over 100 years of NHL hockey to make history, or that doesn't make any fucking sense. So basically, he's the first black person or African-American in over 100 years of NHL hockey to make history in being hired as a general manager for the San Jose Sharks. So congrats to Mike Grier. Congrats to the Grier family. Now 2 GMs, and both of them brothers. That is something that, it's very hard to accomplish, and it's a job that I think a lot of people would want, but that is fantastic. Now let's see. But yeah, that kind of relates to NFL. You guys can hear that stuff, right? I mean, it is loud. I mean, it is bonkers outside. It's green, okay? We're in a severe thunderstorm watch. I mean, power could go out in any second, but we're still striving. We're still having a grand time here. But let's now bounce back over to the National Football League. So apparently there's been some speculation around the Seattle Seahawks being up for sale, in which that's new to me. I never really heard anything about that, but I guess it has been swirling around the World Wide Web. And apparently they're up for sale, but actually that has been put to rest. The Seattle Seahawks, actually, Jody Allen, who's the chair of the Portland Trail Blazers and Seattle Seahawks, trustee of the Paul G. Allen Trust, put it to rest, put these speculations to rest, and this is what he had to say. He said, as chair of both the Portland Trail Blazers and the Seattle Seahawks, my long-term focus is building championship teams that our communities are proud of. Like my brother Paul, I trust and expect our leaders and coaches to build winning teams that deliver results on and off the court and field. As we've stated before, neither of the teams is for sale, and there are no sale discussions happening. A time will come when that changes, given Paul's plans to dedicate the vast majority of his wealth to philanthropy, but estates of this size and complexity can take 10 to 20 years to wind down. There is no preordained timeline by which the teams must be sold. Until then, my focus, and that of our teams, is on winning. Seattle Seahawks aren't up for sale, folks. Okay, plain and simple. They are here to stay in Jody Allen's hands and his brother Paul's hands. Okay, it ain't going nowhere. But like he said, it takes 10 to 20 years to kind of wind down until they actually get a deal going. I bet the Denver Broncos deal was kind of in the works for quite some time, in which, the Walton family ended up being the major purchaser of that at like $4.65 billion. I mean, that is ridiculous. You can only imagine what the Seattle Seahawks would go up for sale and how much they'd be worth, and the rest of the teams that were to follow suit and stuff like that. Like next up could be the Washington Commanders, obviously with the whole Dan Snyder situation, but you never know. So, with that being said, let's give a quick shout out to the USFL inaugural champions, the Birmingham Stallions. Congratulations on a one hell of a season. Only lost one game, got to watch that alongside Mark. He was of Steelers Nation Australia and the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate, where he was live streaming it basically and giving his takes and back and forth. It was a great game. I thought they battled pretty well. I do like the trophy. It's smaller than the NFL's trophy, but it has the same type of concept. So congratulations to the Birmingham Stallions on winning the inaugural season of the USFL. Now it's up to next season to see if they're actually worth a damn for watching. Well, that's all we got for you guys today. The NFL is dead. Nothing's happening, but we will continue to search for news around the NFL and bring that to you as soon as possible, like that being tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time on Facebook and YouTube. If you're on Facebook, hit the like, hit the share. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe. It'd be much, much appreciated. So have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there. Once again, thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the people that lost their lives this past weekend in Chicago. Horrific events. And never take your life for granted. Stay happy, be safe, be you. We'll see you tomorrow, and you just got your fix with the Wicks. Deuces.